Hello everybody, this is Giancarlo Aulino, and in this segment, we're going to be talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs and talk a little bit about the Calgary Flames arena situation. To help us out today, we're happy to be joined by our guest. He is a former NHL goaltender and currently co-hosts Overdrive on TSN 1050, Jamie Noodles McLennan. Hello Jamie, welcome to Beyond the Game.
Well, thanks for having me. How are you doing today?
Doing very good, and yourself?
I'm all good. Ready to talk some hockey and politics in hockey.
That's great. Jamie, we're going to get right into it here. Last season, the Toronto Maple Leafs were viewed as a rebuilding franchise, but they surprised everybody by making the playoffs. This year, they've seemed to pick up right where they left off. Now, as an analyst covering this team on Overdrive and other regional games, what has surprised you most about this young Leafs core over the past year?
Well, there's been a lot of things. Obviously, when you have a game changer like Auston Matthews come into your organization, that helps speed up the process in the rebuild because he's a star and an instant star. So he makes everyone else around him better. They drafted very well with guys like William Nylander and Mitch Marner. So you've got three real offensive juggernauts up front, and then you've got a good core. They traded for a goaltender. You've got some incumbents there. So the rebuild happened quite quickly. The one thing that surprises me is how resilient the group has been as far as just been able to kind of block out the outside noise and just play. The one thing that they've also, when it comes to surprise, is how healthy they've been. I mean, this is a team that hasn't had to deal with a lot of injuries or adversity, so knock on wood for them. They've pretty much everything has gone according to as planned with Brendan Shanahan, Lou Lamoriello, Mike Babcock. There hasn't been too many speed bumps in the road for them.
Yeah, part of what makes this team so special is that young core that you mentioned, like Auston Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander. They're all talented players in their early 20s. Now, with that said, where do you feel this Leafs team ranks when compared to other teams in the Eastern Conference?
Washington, Pittsburgh, Tampa, all three of those teams come to mind when I think of teams that could challenge for the Eastern Conference. But the Toronto Maple Leafs have shown that they can play with them right now. So do they have as much experience as them? No. But you need to play the games to get experience. So you've got 6 games of playoff experience against Washington last year. You've played against them head-to-head. You feel like you can go just as long as they can as far as regular season and hopefully into the playoffs. This is a team that is hoping to turn the corner faster than expected. But can they be at the top of the Eastern Conference or close to it? Absolutely, because they've proven they can score. They've proven they got a good goaltender, and Mike Babcock's a good coach that's trying to get them to play consistent defensive play. So they've got a lot of pieces there that can make up to be a threat out east. But certainly the teams that I've named will be right there as well.
Yeah, I agree. For those just joining us on Vibe 105, we're speaking with the co-host of Overdrive on TSN, Jamie McLennan. Now, Jamie, this young Leafs group all came up and made an impact at the same time and could have potentially put them in a tough situation going forward. We saw in the offseason the Oilers signing McDavid and Draisaitl long-term, even the Sabres signing Jack Eichel long-term. Now, with the salary cap being unpredictable, what is a salary and term guys like Auston Matthews and William Nylander can expect to earn?
It's a moving target. You mentioned some of the names, Connor McDavid and Jack Eichel. So you're thinking, okay, well, if McDavid is the top and Eichel's let's say the bottom, does Auston Matthews fit somewhere in the middle? But I would argue that it's importance to your organization as well. And Auston Matthews seems to be the cornerstone, or is the cornerstone. The salary cap goes up, so you may not just look at salary, you may look at percentage of salary cap for your team. So, for example, I believe Connor McDavid's taking 16%, let's just say. So that happens to be $12.5 million. Well, if 2 years from now Auston Matthews takes 16%, but the cap has gone up a little bit, that number could be more than what Connor McDavid makes. So I think that's a moving target, and then you slide down to guys like William Nylander and Mitch Marner. Where are they going to fit in financially? Well, the one luxury you have if you're a Leafs fan, or even the general manager, Lou Lamoriello of the Leafs, is you get to see them go out and earn it. And at some point they're going to get paid, and then you have to manipulate your cap and work around it. That means that there may be casualties of cap. Just ask the Chicago Blackhawks or the Pittsburgh Penguins. Teams have had to trade away very good players just so that they can fit underneath the cap. So it's a good problem to have, but certainly a lot of them, these three guys are going to get paid, and hopefully the Leafs will be able to keep all three of them moving forward.
Yeah, also to your point there with the percentage of the cap, if Auston Matthews ends up making more than Connor McDavid with his new deal, do you think it will put unnecessary pressure on him by the fans, like unrealistic expectations?
No, I don't think so, and the reason being is everything this guy has done, he's been able to kind of just move past the pressure. Nobody expected him to score four goals the opening night. He does that. Nobody expected him to score 40 goals last year. He does that. He wins Rookie of the Year. I mean, this is a special player. And I think what Toronto fans need to embrace is they have a special player. Special players get paid a lot of money. And there will be ups and downs in his career. There hasn't been so far. But at some point, there may be a little tough stretch here or there. But you just have to ride it out. Because I've seen a lot of special players. I've played against them. I've played with them. They're able to rise above a lot of the pressure that's put on their back, and if anything, they embrace it. And Auston seems like that type of athlete.
Looking at this Leafs team right now, they don't have the same amount of depth on the back end defensively as they would like compared to their forward group. Do you think that Lou Lamoriello would consider trading one of his top forwards in order to acquire that top four defenseman?
It's possible, but, define top forward. It could be James Van Riemsdyk, who is a top six forward and is playing on an expiring contract this year. So he needs a new contract. So you just talked about the young guys getting paid and maybe a cap casualty. I'm not suggesting this, but if James Van Riemsdyk gets you what you believe is a missing piece on the back end, maybe he's a guy that gets moved. That being said, I think he's a key part of the core moving forward. So you never know if they try and make it work for him financially. The one luxury he has is he's going to be unrestricted, so he can go and get paid from anybody. And the Leafs want to pay for his services. It may cost them a premium, but they do have some pieces they can move. I wouldn't suggest that they would move any of the top pieces, but a guy on an expiring contract or maybe a guy who's deemed a little bit farther down in your lineup, or an up-and-coming player in your system that you don't have room for. A guy like Kapanen or Josh Levo. These are guys that can play in the NHL and are not getting opportunities because they've got so much depth right now. So it'd be interesting to see. But the one thing that the Leafs are working from is a position of strength because they've got a lot of depth throughout their organization right now.
Yeah. Once again, for those just joining us on Vibe 105, we're speaking with the co-host of Overdrive, Jamie McLennan. Jamie, we're going to shift gears a little bit here and head out west to Alberta, where a hot topic over the past few months has been the Flames' attempt at a new arena. Calgary Mayor Naheed Nenshi has opposed the Flames' proposals of taxpayer money funding a majority of the arena. Now, as a former player for the Flames, what are your thoughts on the arena situation, and do the Flames really need a new arena?
Yeah, they do. I've played in that arena, and they've done everything they can to update it, but it's the oldest arena in the NHL outside of MSG, which had $1 billion renovation. It's had its time. I mean, it was built, I believe, 79 or 1980. So it's one of the oldest sports arenas in North America. Obviously, the Chicago Cubs, and you look at some of the classic stadiums and stuff, but I'm talking from a fan's perspective, they need an updated arena. And the worst part about it is they're looking 3 hours north, and Edmonton has got a brand new arena and got some government help from it. So I think it's a political play, and I'm not going to lay blame, but I think there's enough blame to go around on both sides. But when you look at it, something has to give. They do need a new arena, and I don't know if it's the mayor that is completely against it or if he just wants it on his terms and he's being stubborn, or vice versa. But either way, if you're a fan and even a former player, they do need a new arena, and they do need to update that. And I don't think the Flames are going anywhere, the threat of leaving, but it's more about finding the funds and making sure it works for everyone and finding a common ground. And it doesn't seem like either side has been able to try and do that right now.
Jamie, before we wrap up, with that in mind, just add to what you said about, maybe blame to go around everywhere and not just to one side. If there continues to be disagreements with the ownership group of the Flames and the mayor, and if fans start getting a little bit upset about this, are the Flames at risk of being relocated?
Well, Edmonton kind of went through that when they were battling with the city and battling with the government for funding. All of a sudden you saw Daryl Cates, the owner there, and Wayne Gretzky doing a site survey in Seattle. Seattle's name always seems to come up, and wanting an expansion team, and could Calgary relocate? Well, the reality of it is I'm sure they could, but I don't think anybody wants that, including the NHL. Calgary's a great market to play in. It's got great fans, and hopefully it can turn around financially. Now with the oil money struggling and the economy struggling in Alberta, that has helped contribute to where Calgary seemed to be a money maker before, but now they're a revenue sharing team, and they're receiving it because it has had hard times. So there has been an economic shift there, and that's what I think everyone needs to take a look at is for the greater good instead of egos getting in the way. I think what has to happen is cooler minds come to the table and get something worked out and worked out well so that it helps the economics of the city as well, because Alberta has been in a little bit of a downtrending time right now because of the economy.
Well, Jamie, unfortunately, we're out of time. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to chat with us here on Beyond the Game, and we wish you all the best.
Thanks for having me.
That was the co-host of Overdrive on TSN 1050, Jamie Noodles McLennan. Now, we're going to send it back to the studio for more Beyond the Game right here on Vibe 105.
This is Jamie McLennan, and you're listening to Beyond the Game.
Jamie McLennan. And the Toronto Maple Leafs have had no problem scoring, but they're a high-rate scoring team as far as speed off the rush. And a right point to goaltender.